If you're a heating and air conditioning technician or even a salesperson, what's one solid way to help you get out of a sales slump, and why does it matter? This is a fantastic question. I'm Scott Bell, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky, on a perfect day to talk about sales and business, and a fantastic day to talk about you. Okay, so here's the thing. At some point in your career, maybe this quarter, maybe next quarter, maybe the quarter after, you are going to go into a sales slump. And my advice to you is to go straight to the basics. Not the fancy dancy stuff, not the super cool stuff, the basics, right? So you break your sales process into the most simplest parts. You got your intro phase, your rapport phase, your discovery phase, your presentation phase, your money phase, your negotiation phase, and you create a checklist. You do this today. You're like, hey, Scott, when? Right now. You do this after the video. And what's going to happen is you are going to be able to have a roadmap for when you struggle. You're like, hey, Scott, I don't know if I necessarily want to do it that way. What's another way that I can do this? Okay, so here's what you do. Wear legal, follow the law, right? You record your sales presentation when you're at the freaking top. When you're at the top, you record your presentation. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, like 4, 5, or 6 times, okay? And then what you do is either you do this by hand, and you go through your recording and you figure out what you did in each one of those steps and you create a checklist, sales checklist, okay? Or you go the easy route and you dump that video or that audio into otter.ai and you have it create a checklist for you for all those sales presentations you did. And what you're going to do is you are going to target the basics. Target the basics. Like I'm going to say this like 9,000 times. Just kidding. I'm going to say it like 3 or 4. Target the basics, target the basics, target the basics, right? It's not about the fancy stuff. That's the things that get you in trouble, right? You watch any professional sports, and when they're struggling, the coach goes, timeout, and brings everybody in a huddle. It's like, huddle up, get around. No more of this fancy stuff. You're going to play the basics. You're going to follow the drills. You're going to do the things that I tell you to do, right? And then the players go out and then they score, and they're like, what happened? Amazingly, when you follow the basics, super cool and awesome things happen. Now, here's the thing. If you want to be better at sales, you want to be good at what you do, you should absolutely join my email publication. Go right here to this URL, type it into a browser, drop in your name, your email address, maybe your phone number. I will give you the goods. Not in the Facebook group, not the YouTube channel. It means private coaching, private training, discounted coaching, discounted training. It's an email publication. And occasionally, I try to sell you stuff, right? Not all the time, occasionally. So master the basics. It's not like... Here's the thing. Nobody's writing with you and looking over your shoulder and like, dude, high five when the sale's done. I saw you pull out that maneuver and this maneuver. Or you're not picking up the phone and calling people like, hey, you have no idea what I did after my sales presentation. Here's all the cool maneuvers I did. No. You know what the answer is? Did you close the deal? Is there like a box that says, did you close the deal? And you're like, heck yes, I did. Okay. So here is the traditional thing that happens whenever you go into a sales slump, when I go into a sales slump, or anybody. If you have 10 steps in your sales process, you pull out 30% of it automatically because you're speeding to get to the end. You're like, I want to get to the end of this deal. I want to make magic happen. I'm going to make magic happen. And the only way I'm going to do that is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull out steps of the process. Go back to the basics. I would say, hey, what are you asking in your discovery? And then what question behind the question are you digging in for? Because like at the end of the day, your competition's freaking lazy. This is how it works. They sit down and they go, okay, tell me about your problem that you've been having. And then the buyer, the client goes, I'm having a problem with XYZ. And they go, checklist, this question's done. And then they move on to the next question. What do you prefer to have happen? And then they get the answer and then checklist. So like if I was sat down with somebody and they go, hey, tell me about what's going on and why I'm out here today. Or tell me about what's going on and why we're on a video talking today. And they say, hey, I'm having a problem with XYZ. I am not moving on. I'm like, you gave me a major clue, and like, now I need to go hunt for the treasure, okay? Here's my clue. Here's me hunting for the treasure. Tell me a little bit more about that. Share with me. You know, when you say that, what do you mean? As you explain that to me, I'm looking for a little bit more depth. Your job is to look at like everything like an onion, and you start pulling back the layers of the onion when you're in your discovery phase. But if you're struggling, I can promise you this, you've sped up. So you're going to go back to the basics. So if right now, today, you're on the top and you're taking 20 minutes in discovery, you should absolutely make a note of that. And like, if you're struggling and you have your roadmap and you're like, oh, why did I only take 7? That's 8. Why did I take 7 minutes to do my discovery? Like, slow down. Slow down. In sales, nothing good happens when you speed up. Nothing. If the buyer's like, speed up because you're talking at half a mile a minute, that's a completely different thing than you speeding through your presentation to get to the next call to make the money that you missed out on. Huge mistake. And this is super important. You got 1 of 3 things to do from here. Just 1 of 3. Find the subscribe button, click on it, and every time I send a video, you'll get an update. 2, and follow. 3. You know what you got to do. Share this video with a friend. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.